Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Nosa of Nosa Capital, coming to you on a rather cold evening from the Southern Hemisphere. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've had a very, very, very busy week. And dare I say exciting, despite the dangers that lurk on a week like this. As we all know, and I'm not going to go into it, but we know that the conflict has now started. The conflict Israel has started, and now that's brewing. The Ukraine conflict still reigns supreme. That's been going on for quite a while. The United States is having its own problems. And I understand there's some kind of protest that's going to be taking place this weekend. I think today, actually. Across the whole entire nation. I think they called it No Kings or something like that. And a host of other things. And as the Chinese have always said, may you live in interesting times. Interesting times indeed. But anyway, you're not here for the geopolitics or the geoeconomics. You're here for a rough and ready crypto analysis. On dare I say it, ladies and gentlemen, please like and subscribe. I don't like saying it, but I think I've got to say it this time. Please like and subscribe. It's going to help the channel. Thank you. So let's get started. Today we're going to start off with something a little bit different. We're going to be looking at the crypto fear and greed index to start with, and at the moment it's neutral at about 52. That means there's almost no greed and no fear, just sort of in between somewhere. I think people are trying to figure out what's going to happen next as time goes on. So I think that's why we've got that. Probably a very good time to still buy in some cases, but as we can see over time, we're still seeing falls in the overall prices. If we just have a quick look, you can see everything here, as you can see, is all red. Look at that. The only thing that's green, believe it or not, is Pi USDT, but we're going to get back to that very shortly. Right. So as always, we start with Bitcoin. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have put the different technicals on the chart so that you can see that all is not completely lost. I suppose all is just beginning to get interesting, if you ask me. Why have I said that? I've said that because if you look at this particular chart, you can see exactly what I mean by things are going to get interesting. So let's start off. As you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 areas of demand here on the Bitcoin chart. Series of lower highs and lower lows, that means it's going up. Definitely increasing in prices. Volume profile fairly okay, no drama there. Apart from the fact that the price has been falling recently. Now, I don't think there's anything to really be afraid of, because if you look at this here now, in the technicals here, we've got a bullish pennant. Now, a bullish pennant means it now gives you some kind of idea of what kind of price we are looking at in the future. And if you come up here, as you can see, it's 147,801. Now, if my memory serves me correctly, I'm sure many of you will be very happy to see that kind of price. For those of you that have been accumulating Bitcoin, I think this accumulation period must continue. Just as all the companies are having their own strategic Bitcoin reserve, I strongly recommend that you have yours. And that means no matter how small, get some Bitcoin, stack it. Thank you very much. Don't break a sweat about it. Even though the crypto market itself, as we can see and we've been looking, is just ugly, there's always hope. And even here, you can see, if you look closely, you find opportunities. So for instance, if Bitcoin now is supposed to fall, I don't think Bitcoin, I can't see Bitcoin falling anything lower than 94,000. Yeah, and that is at a very extreme case. I can't see it falling. It will probably maintain somewhere. It will probably be somewhere. Where is that? Okay, let's look at the horizontal. Let's do this here. There, about 100,000. I think. I don't think we're going to get something that dramatic. But even if there was a fall towards the point of control, we've got two overlaps. That's an overlap here of two demand areas, and an overlap here if you look very closely. This is going to be very strong. And I think it will hold at this level here to go back up. Now, one more thing. if you remember in the other video, I'm going to make a more detailed video about just strictly about Bitcoin. If you remember the other video, I talked about 113 in terms of the liquidation layers. I also told you that the price is most likely going to come down to about 100,000 to clean out some of the liquidation layers there, which it did. I think that you're going to have to look at the cards somewhere. I'll link that video for you to see it, and you'll be able to see the argument I put forward. All in all, Bitcoin is still going to be it's quite bullish. I'm very bullish about Bitcoin. I don't see any major problems with Bitcoin. I can only see Bitcoin getting stronger. And I said, worst case scenario, I mean, if it's so bad, 94,000, but I doubt that very much. Anyway, that's Bitcoin. Let's move on to the next thing. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is Binance. Just a little bit. We'll just talk a little bit about Binance as always. Binance still has some importance, particularly when one looks at the liquidation markets and the determinant of liquidation within the home as the market as a whole. I'm talking about the crypto market as a whole. So Binance will always have some relevance, even if you don't own the coin. I strongly recommend that you pay attention, particularly to the liquidation levels, not of the coin, but what the company itself, Binance, is doing with things like Bitcoin, Solana, and to a lesser extent, Ethereum and Sui. So here again, we've got a couple of double bottoms to give us a price target of about $782.76. Now, we've got 1, 2, 3 areas of demand, and we've got 1, 2 areas of supply. Overall, if you go into the weekly or so, you will find that if we look at the weekly on this one, we will find that a lot of the stuff has really been trading sideways. You know, you've got something like there and about here for quite a while now. So I suspect, there we go. I suspect that, and you can see more sideways action here. Look at that. I suspect, look at that level of action. We've been trading sideways since about March last year, and this is now June of this year. So really, this is just sideways with some volatility, as you can see. This tells you that this particular coin could suddenly explode when we least expect it. When we least expect it. Well, I'm not going to go into too many details, but for the holders of this coin, you know, God bless the child. I mean, some of you have done very well. I put my hand up. Do I have some Binance? Yes, I do. I almost never talk about it, as you know. But like I said, we cannot ignore it. I suspect that this is just going to get stronger. It's not going to get any weaker. If people think that Binance is just going to fall, I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. And I'm not saying that I'm no big fan. But I got my Binance quite a while ago when the speculation was rife, way back, quite a few years back. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say on that. Let's move on to Ethereum very quickly. Ethereum has recently, as you know, has had some very bad press. Not been very good. But it seems to have strengthened in recent times, particularly from around April of this year, about the middle of April this year. As you can see, volume profile fairly reasonably even, not too bad. Right across the board, a few areas of low volume, but generally not too bad. We've got 1, 2, 3 areas of demand and 2 areas of supply. Now, these areas of supply are not too strong. I think with enough volume momentum, they'll be easily broken through. Now, if you look at this, if you look here, you can see that we've got a falling wedge, which posits price at about 2,890. Now, if you remember my last video, I talked about if Ethereum breaks the 2,800, we can easily see it at about 3,000. Just over 3,000, because this area here, look at this area, sparse volume. This could easily, if it breaks this area here, could easily go back to this. And I suspect that over the next few weeks or maybe a month or so, we will be back at about 3,000. If you look at this, as I said, look at this falling wedge. This is definitely going to be hit. In fact, it was hit, if you look at it right here on the 11th of June, which is about a few days ago, actually. So let's hope that this can continue to go up. I am little bit more enthusiastic about Ethereum, particularly with some of the latest moves. There's a guy, I don't know his name, I've not followed the story up as much as I should, but this guy is making some kind of micro seller moves, only this time for Ethereum. And there's still a few that believe in Ethereum. So speculatively, the price might go up. But if you're talking about pure technical strength, ladies and gentlemen, you might as well just forget it. It is not going to beat Ethereum. I beg your pardon, it's not going to beat Solana. Solana has the grip between its teeth. There's no question about that. And if you look at the transactions per second, it's way too slow. So, I mean, technically, it's becoming, should I say, old technology. And some of the stuff that Vitalik Buterin is talking about, it's not going to come through this soon. We're looking at about 2031. In crypto terms, 2030 is just like a million years away. I mean, sorry, it's about just a million years away technically. And by the time we get there, God knows what technologies we're going to have. So I wouldn't put too much stock on that part of the story. Having said that, I expect Ethereum is still, as you can see, still positive. I'm still bullish on Ethereum, albeit for speculative purposes. Let me put my hand up and admit that to you. Anyway, enough of that. Let's move on to Solana. And before I carry on, you can see that I've been playing a lot of the technicals here to show you that hope is not completely lost based on what the price actions are doing. So again, here we've got like 2 areas of demand here. I've got 1, 2, 3 areas of supply. Now, Solana has been a bit weird because with all the development going on in Solana, the increased minting of stablecoins, the total value locked, the numbers of transactions, the amount of money made from transactions, one believes that Solana should be up. Now, there's some companies, and I've said to you then, and I'll say it again. This is another area to make a buy. Now, in this particular moment, I haven't bought anything. Remember the last one that took place here? I told you that I did some buying here. This one, I haven't done any buying here yet. But I might see if the price falls a little bit more, maybe to about 130 or something, and I might just buy something. But having said that, based on all the developments and what is going on, I can see Solana just exploding suddenly. And if you look at this with this inverse head and shoulders, as we can see, the target here is $278.13. I suspect we could hit the $300 easily. I suspect that that's what's going to happen with Solana. And I think that Solana is something that would have immense amount of growth over time because this is proven technology. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you saw the massive amount of meme coins that were minted, I beg your pardon, and put out there. And this platform held up. I don't think some of the other newer platforms can hold up. Solana is now proven. Therefore, I would get your bags ready. Pack your Solana bags, put them together, stack as much as you can, and wait to see the price go through. There's no question about it. Quality will always rise to the top. And this is quality. And even though the price is looking absolutely dismal, I'm extremely bullish when it comes to Solana. Okay, let's move on to SUI very quickly. Okay, we've got a couple of falling wedges here. Again, 1, 2 areas of demand, 1, 2, 3 areas of supply, all quite thin if you look at them, and with enough volume momentum they can go through. Our volume profile is not too bad. We're still quite ahead of our point of control. Worst case scenario, I mean, if it gets so bad in terms of SUI, I can't see us falling below the point of control. But let's just do something just very quickly. Let's just play around with our Let's do it this way. And as we can see, let's do that. Let's just move that so we can see the figures. Okay, so at 61.8, we're looking at 2.7. Now look at that, 0.786. Look at that, smack, bang, right on top of the point of control. Exactly on top of the point of control. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't see this. If you could be patient, you could easily speculate on this if you think about it. If it falls to this area here, I can't see it falling below $2. No. This might be an area, it might come here so that those who want to buy can just buy, get in. You could easily buy at $2. Take it all the way up to the areas of supply here. If you're speculating. And I think the bottom area here is what? That's about $3.81. So from that's about $1.81 per coin speculatively. So that's quite good. But like I said, look at the level of confidence there. That's the worst case scenario, ladies and gentlemen. $2.20. $2.20 there. Am I bullish on SUI? Yes. Developments are going on there, not as rapidly and not as strongly than on Solana, but something to keep an eye out and something to watch. Based on the flying wedge here, they're almost quite close from that one and this one. This one is showing a target of, what target are we going to get here? So we're looking at a target of about 484, and here is 499 there. So almost $5. So I expect this to improve over time. I don't expect it to remain where it is. And yes, as I said before, I'm bullish. Okay, now let's move on to our meme coins. So we've got Moodeng. Again, ladies and gentlemen, with the reason why you can see all these technicals is to sort of help put your mind at rest that all is not lost. So yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3 areas of 2 areas of demand and 2 areas of supply, 1 area of demand. That's our point of control there, the red line there. That's where all the activity is taking place. Volume profile fairly reasonable, although thinner as the time as it goes higher. I did post it the other time that it was going to hit this lower area here of about 33 cents, which it did. And then, but there you can see this massive distance. So we need a massive area of supply. So we need quite a bit of volume momentum to break through. But I suspect that if it breaks through the 44 cents, as I told you before, we are going all the way back up to the top, to the very top of about 70 cents quite easily. And who knows? It might gather momentum and go even further. Current targets based on this falling wedge is what? 31 cents. That's 32 cents. Remember, again, I go back to what I said to you in the last video about getting, not the last one, quite a while, I think about 2 videos ago, if my memory serves me correctly. And I told you we're going to hit this area here. And we did. Moodeng holders, remember we talked about this area down here as its lowest point, and I told you it was going to explode, and I told you a while ago that once it gets past the point of control, how far it was going to go. It's hit every single target. I suspect it's still going to do the same with the latest one. For those of you speculators, if you played your cards right, if you had bought down here and sold here, you're sitting on some very juicy profits. But there's still quite a bit of profit left. Worst case scenario, if it gets so bad, let's say things really go bad, I can't see it falling below 6 cents. I doubt that very much. But I don't think it's going to fall that low. Okay, so let's go on to WIF. Excuse me. So with WIF, we've got look at that here. That's our point of control down here. This is another one where I told you that this area here, remember I told you that we're at the bottom, and we were, and we've taken off, and then we've come back down here, which is a little bit disappointing. I thought it was going to be a bit higher than that. Nevertheless, the target we're looking at here is about $1.37, And if you recall, I did mention something along those lines. Now, if we have enough momentum and we break this area of supply, look at our volume profile. All the activity is down here. This is where it's strongest. But look at how sparse the volume is. With enough price momentum here, we can just easily break through. And don't be surprised you find yourself back at a much higher price at a very sudden moment. Don't be surprised if you find yourself hitting there, $3.19, because look at the volume. Look at the volume profile. Look at how thin it is. Remember what I said about very thin volume profile. Price action moves up and down very, very quickly. So watch for that. Finally is Pi. Now this is something that was very interesting. Now the way the Pi's management have handled it, the Pi network management has handled things, people are not very happy. People couldn't sell at these areas here. But nevertheless, I told you at one time when I did it, I told you it was going to stay at about 60. If you look at what's going on, you find it came down to this area here. Which was about 40 cents. But look at what happened yesterday. The price suddenly fell. The price also fell to 40 cents, and it's gone back up. It's now at 61. Look at that. This, in my opinion, is now telling us that this, ladies and gentlemen, is our main area of support. 40 cents. But look, it's been in the early 60s most of this time here. This is some kind of anomaly. I don't know what's going on and why it fell. I don't really know why. I didn't see any disturbing news, but if anybody did, please let us know. Look at those two bottoms. It was just 40 cents. Almost as if it was like ordained to hit just that 40 cents. So we've got double bottom here, and the target from the double bottom is $2.92. Like I've told you, if it breaks this area here, which is about $1.17, it's going to be easy to go back up because the volume is becoming more and more sparse on our volume profile. So do not be surprised if that happens. Now, again, this could be quite sudden. For those that didn't get in at this lower area here, this is another opportunity for you to get in to speculate. You could sell at this area of supply here, or even wait and allow it to go even further. Overall, ladies and gentlemen, despite the fact that the market overall is falling, I'm quite bullish on crypto. And if one looks at one's areas of support and resistance, as well as areas of buying and selling, demand and supply, I think you can pretty much put a strategy together to obtain more cryptos, or your favorite cryptos. Like I've always said to you, buy quality, buy quality, buy quality. Ladies and gentlemen, the geopolitical and geoeconomic situation is getting more and more strange. Only God knows, only time will tell, and only God knows what the future really holds. We can make educated guesses. And I think that in the near future, I'm going to make a few videos on things like gold, the gold to Bitcoin ratio, gold to Ethereum ratio, things like that. And maybe look at the fiat currency, the VIX, and maybe look at a few of the other indices, like the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. I think those kind of videos are overdue, and I think I'll make a couple just for us to have that discussion. Anyway, as always, that's me. So as always, keep your eyes and ears open and your trading sharp. Have a good one. Bye.